Chapter 3, Lesson 2. So we did linear systems solving, and we solved by graphing. Now we're going to take a look at inequalities. Now the inequalities is, again, it has to satisfy all the inequalities in the system. So if I have two inequality equations, then I has to satisfy both of them. If there's three, it has to satisfy all three. If there's five, it has to satisfy all five. The only way to do this, we're going to solve these, the only way we're going to solve these is by graphing. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're going to do this. So graphing an inequality line. So first thing is we're going to graph each line. So taking a look here at this first line, I'm going to graph it here in black. Y is greater than 2x minus 4. So remember, if it's just greater than, okay, or right here on this box, just if it's less than or greater than, we're connecting it with a dotted line. Dotted line. If it's less than and equal to or greater than and equal to, we have a solid line connecting those points. So first thing we're going to do is find our points. So my b value is -4, so it's starting here at -4, using my slope 2 over 1, so up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and when I look at this, it's just greater than, so I'm going to have a dotted line. So I'm going to get my dotted lines here. And I'm going here, and I'm going straight down all the way through those points with my dotted line. Now y is greater than. So I want to go to this y value. Well, look at where my y value is. And y is great. Here's the y's that are greater than. So I'm shading above that line. Everything above that line. Okay? The easiest way is to find that y value, y-intercept, and I'm looking at numbers greater than that y-intercept. So in this case, y-intercept's here at -4, numbers greater than are -3, -2, and so on. Okay? Let's take a look at the second equation. Y is less than equal to -1/2 x plus 3. So again, y-intercept is now at +3. Slope is -1/2. So down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And again, I can put as many points as I want on there. Since it's less than and equal to, it's going to be a solid line. So I'm going to have my graphs. And this time I'm going to pick this solid line, making it red. And I can make my line. There's my line on my second point. And again, y is less than. So again, if I go back to that y value here at 3, y is less than. So I'm shading below that red line. Now, again, my answer has to satisfy both equations. So if you think about this, I really have four areas I could shade. So I have this area way up here on top. We'll call that number 1. I have this area over here on the left-hand side, number 2. Bottom right's number 3. And this area, little small area up top right, is 4. So I can shade in any of those 4 areas. Now, where do they overlap? So you can see here, pink arrows or purple arrows going up, green arrows coming down. Over here in this second area here, okay, and where the number 2 is, that's where those overlap, okay? So again, you can kind of, if you graph these in Desmos, what you can notice is they kind of shade everything here. So in Desmos, they may have an area shaded like this. So everything here on this black graph is shaded yellow, okay? And then they may have a different color shading here, green, let's say green, and everything below here is green. Let's not do green, let's do a blue here color maybe. Yes. So you can see the blue and the yellow make the green. So my answer, it's not the yellow part, it's not the blue part, it's only this green area. So that's all I needed, really. You don't really have to you don't really have to shade all three parts. Okay, really, it's only where they're being shared. So you can see this green area is actually my actual answer. Now, I can just look at it, look where my arrows are going, look where my shading needs to be, and find my area that needs to be shaded. Again, if I have two lines, I'm going to have four sections. If I have another line in there, I'm going to have 6 or 7 or 8 sections there, okay, that I can pick from. Now, one thing I could do is take points from each section and plug it in and figure out, well, this is where I need to shade. So if I look at this and I think, oh, well, I think this section is where I need to shade here, okay, where the number 2 is. I can pick a point in there. In this case, I can pick 0, 0 and plug it in. So 0 greater than 2 times 0 minus 4. 0 greater than negative 4? Yes. And again, I can plug in 0 in the other bottom one. 0 less than or equal to negative 1/2 times 0 plus 3. Half times 0 is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 3? Yes. So both satisfies both equations. So that's the area I need to shade. So only this green area is where I'm looking at for my shading. Okay. So again, I did both, all areas there when I did my highlighting, so that way you can see kind of where that overlap is between the yellow and the blue. It's in that green area. Okay. The green area is the only part that's the answer. Now, when I look at this, if I take this, let's use blue here. If I have a point on this dotted line, is it part of my answer? The answer is no. Dotted line again is not included. Now, if I'm looking at a point on the solid line, like 0, 3, is 0, 3 included in this answer? Yes, because it's in the solid line and it's above the dotted line. Okay, so if it's on a solid line, it's included in the answer. If if the point is on a dotted line, it's not included with my answer. So you will see that a lot of times with some multiple choice type questions. Okay, so if you have a graphing calculator, okay, here's some steps when you're graphing those in the graphing calculator. If not, you can use Desmos. And Desmos does have the inequality symbols. Okay, you just have to hit the little calculator down, or the little keypad down at the bottom. So, and again, you can graph them by hand as well. So again, let's graph this first equation. I'm going to graph it in this purple. So starting here at negative 3, slope is 2, up 2 over 1. And again, I'm going to put a bunch of those on here. Solid line because it's greater than and less, greater than or equal to. So I'm going to do solid line here. And y is greater than, so at y is greater than, so again I'm shading above this line right now. Now let's take a look at the second equation. Y less than negative x plus 2. Y-intercept is at positive 2. Slope is negative 1, so down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and so on. It's just y is less than, so this is going to be a dotted line. So I get all my stuff situated here. Dotted line here is green. Again, use the entire graph. I don't want small graphs. Use the entire graph. So again, I have 4 sections here I need to shade. So let's take a look here. Now this is y is less than. So here's my y-intercept. Less than is down. So I'm shading down below this green line. above the purple line. So again, I'm looking for where does that graph, where do those arrows intersect? Where do they cross at? And again, it's on this left-hand side. So here is going to be my shading. So you can just kind of scribble it in here with your pencil. Again, if you want to have highlighters and actually highlight it in there nice and neat, you can do that as well. I'm okay either way. All right, I want you guys to take number 3 here. Graph this system. Now, one thing you will have to notice, to get you started here, it's not in y-intercept form. Y is not by itself. So you can solve for it to get it in y-intercept form so you can graph it easier, or you can use intercepts to graph, however you want to graph that, okay? So you can see here, the top equation here I solved for y less than 2/5 x plus 2. So starting point here on the purple line is at 2, up 2 over 5 to get my next point here. Drew my line, and y is less than, so I'm shading down below that line. Green line then, the bottom equation, solved for y, added 4 to both sides, so y is greater than 4x plus 8. Now 8 kind of goes off my graph, but from 8 I'm going to go down 4 to 4 over 1. So that puts me here, down 4 to 0 over 1, down 4 over 1 there. Again, it's another dotted line, so I connect those green dots, and y is greater than, so I'm shading above that line to the left of it, kind of looking like that, because with the high slope, large slope. Again, where do these lines cross? Again, if I want to use my highlighter to be nice and neat, these cross here in this bottom left section. And there's my graph. Again, if I want to pick a point and plug it in, I can do that to double check to make sure that those are correct. All right, we got one more example. It is a multiple choice question. So here they give us a graph, and then they're asking us which ordered pair is the solution to the system of inequalities. So first thing we need to do is we need to find, well, where is that area? So you can do one of two things. You could plug in every single point until you find the one that works in both equations. I can graph it. So let's just graph them. So this first equation here, positive 4, slope is negative 3, down 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, and I can sketch that purple line. Purple line here, going through my graph. Good. And y is less than or equal to, so that should have been the solid line. Let me switch that up. And y is less than, so down, shading below to the left of that line. Okay. Graphing the second one then, put it here in green. Negative 1 is my slope, or I'm sorry, negative 1 is my starting y-intercept, 2 is my slope, up 2 over 1, 2 over 1, 2 over 1, and again I can sketch that graph, and this is another solid line. Through my green points, y is greater than, so here y is greater than, so I'm shading above this green line. So where do these lines share? What's over here on this left-handed side? So right over here, where these graphs kind of come together. All these points here in the blue shading. Now I can look at these points. So 3, 0, here's 3, 0, right? Not a solution to anything. 0, -3 here. Not a solution. It's not in my shaded area. -3, 0, -3, 0. That's in my shaded area. And 3, -1. Not in my shaded area. So which one's in the shaded area? -3, 0. So -3, 0 is my solution there to those systems of inequalities. Now again, remember, a lot of times when they have these multiple choice questions, you're going to be given a point on the line. If it's a solid line, that's part of the solution. If it's on a dotted line, it is not part of the solution. Okay, so just kind of remember that when you get these multiple choice type questions. Okay, all right, you can see the worksheets down at the bottom right. And this is the last set of notes for Chapter 3 for now. We'll probably come back to Chapter 3 a little bit later on in the year, but for now we're going to wrap this up. So we'll move on to Chapter 4 here later.